It's a good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's boy Millsy, back from Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew more version 1.0 deck list of the Commander in front of us on my quest to brew the Magic world. As always, that deck list is going to be down in the description for you below. As well as I would greatly appreciate if you can interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, check out the links in the description. I'd really appreciate it. But today, we're continuing with ACR, and I have to admit there's a lot of fun commanders in this set, and it wouldn't be a Magic set without a Boros equipment commander, so let's talk about it. Eivor, battle ready. A 5-mana 5/5 human assassin warrior with vigilance and haste, both great abilities, and we love having them here. And when Eivor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipment you control to each opponent. I'll give them credit. This is actually a really cool ability. I think the problem most of the time when we look at Boros equipment commanders, it's always, oh, the first thing you equip each turn is 0, or do this or do that, and it feels like the same equipment commander over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? What I really like about Eivor is it cares about us having as much equipment as we can get, which allows us to play a really fun subsection of cards that really just don't see play in other equipment decks. And I think that's what makes a fun commander sometimes. We're going to talk about creatures we want to play, how to cheapen those equip costs like normal, some cool equipment, and then we'll talk about how we're going to actually try to make more equipment than what we have out with some various effects, and I think that's where this deck really shines. Well, it wouldn't be a Boros equipment deck without us talking about the things you expect to see. And the first is Armored Skyhunter, a 4-mana 3/3 Cat Knight. Says whenever it attacks, we look at the top 6 cards. You can put an aura equipment from among them on the battlefield. If an equipment is put on the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control, and then put the rest on the bottom. This is one of those creatures that's just going to help us a ton. Cheat things in off the top and get to attach them for free to get around their equip costs. It's really important. The cool part is with the way we can stack the triggers, we can have this go off before Eivor and make sure that we get an extra number involved. Karlach is going to be the first of a few cards that are going to approach our damage trigger from a different way. Well, if we can have Eivor attack more than once a turn, we're going to get this ability more than once. So Karlach just says whenever you attack, it doesn't even have to attack. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures, they gain first strike, and after this phase, there's additional combat. And that is a great ability, meaning we can hopefully, get 7 or 8 damage twice in a turn to each of our opponents, and that's going to stack up really fast over the course of a game. Cassandra Eaglebearer, when it comes in, gets the Spear of Leonidas, legendary artifact equipment that's in the deck. And whenever a creature we control with a legendary equipment attached to it deals damage to a player, draw a card. We do as a couple of really important ones in the deck, so that allows us to draw some cards when things are hitting. Kellen the Fey-Blooded has a open the armory effect on his adventure. Search your library for an aura or equipment and put it into your hand. A great ability and one we can use to find the right things we want to find. And then when it comes down, it's a double striking 2/2 with each other creature gets +1/+0 for each equipment attached to Kellen, which is an important ability. Kellen isn't a bad one to soup up, being a double striking 2/2. And then the rest of your board is going to be big as well. Rayav is going to give all equipped creatures double strike whenever they attack, which is a great ability and one that can be paired really well with some of the equipment we have in our deck. And then SRAM, drawing us a card every time we cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle, which is great. Refill our hand, keep us going on value. Getting in the way, we're going to cheat or cheapen the equip costs. Ardence at the beginning of each combat, you may attach any number of auras or equipment you control to target a permanent or player. Basically, what this is going to do is you pick a creature you control and just attach all the equipment you want. Don't have to pay for it. They just attach automatically. This is great if we really want to suit up Eivor to run 4 commander damage. We could do that. Otherwise, we could just get the ones we want on the right attacker and get in. Bureau Headmaster reduces the cost to cast equipment and equip our equipment by 1. Great ability. 2 mana feels great for it. Codsworth from the Fallout deck says commanders we control have War 2. Great little way to protect Eivor. We can add double white mana and use this only to cast equipment spells in this deck. And then we can attach an equipment we control to target creature we control only as a sorcery. Again, great way to just cheat around an equip cost and get an equipment we want on the right creature. Halvar, giving all creatures that are equipped double strike is a great ability, and we will happily take it, especially when we start getting creatures bigger and bigger, get them in the air, things like that. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach target equipment attached to a creature you control to another creature. Again, just move 1, and that is really important because at the right times, moving just 1 equipment could be the difference between getting in for some good damage or knocking somebody out. Pure Steel Paladin, whenever an equipment comes in under your control, you can draw a card, and as soon as we have 3 or more artifacts, equipment equipped for 0. So great killer ability. Pure Steel Paladin is a staple of equipment decks, and of course we'll happily play it here. Inventory management is an instant, has split second. It says for each aura equipment you control, you can attach it to a creature you control. This is a brutal ability in a lot of ways because it has split second, meaning that this is going to eliminate most of your opponents from being able to respond to this at all. Remember, split second means you can't respond with anything but effectively mana abilities. And there are some corner cases where you can respond to it in that way, but it's very rare. But again, this is a way to just completely reattach them to all to one creature and just be able to hit your opponent. Maybe you swing at somebody and they don't block something, and you just inventory management all your right equipment to that creature. Could be definitely brutal. Fighter class is a fun one. When it comes in, you get to go find an equipment and put it into your hand. Level 2 makes all equip cost 2 less. And then level 3, whenever creature you control attacks up to 1 target creature, blocks it, this combat if able. Being able to pick the creatures that block our creatures can be very beneficial if you want to start getting important things out of the way. Forge Anew says that when it comes in, you can return equipment from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's great, because obviously people are going to want to remove our equipment. As long as it's our turn, we can equip. We could equip equipment at instant speed. Great. Again, that means we can make an attack, and if someone doesn't block something, move things over to it, and pay 0 for the first one you activate during each of your turns. And then Sigarda's Aid, we can cast equipment as though they have flash, and when equipment come in, we get to attach them right away. Sigarda's Aid is a great piece to this deck, because when you start realizing you can cheat those equip costs completely, equipment become very good and very hard to deal with. Well, this is just a small section of the equipment in our deck. We have over 20 equipment in the deck, so I'm just picking a few of the ones that I want to talk about, are the ones I like, and you can find the rest of them in the deck list below. Kamanu Battle Armor is both a creature and an equipment, so it's counted as both when it's on the battlefield, but if you reconfigure it onto a creature, meaning you attach it like you would attach an equipment, then it becomes just an equipment. So it either gives the creature equip 2/2/2/2 or menace, or it has +2, 2/2 with menace. And it says whatever it or a creature deals damage to a player, go to each creature that player controls. Great. Move the creatures another way, right? Get them attacking somebody else, get them out of the way. Lizard Blades either has Double Strike or will give that creature Double Strike. Again, Double Strike is a great ability, especially if you compare it with something like Trample or Flying. It means we can get in for great damage. Aegis of the Legion gives the creature +1/+1 in Mentor. So Mentor says whenever it attacks, you put a counter on a attacking creature with lesser power. I love Mentor. I also love this equipment a lot. I think this is one of those equipment. You pair the Mentor with whenever a creature mentors a creature, put a shield counter on that creature, and you can just start now protecting your creatures. The Clue Edition wasn't good for a lot of things, but there was a lot of really cool cards that came out of it, and Aegis of the Legion is one of them. Andoril is just going to start spreading counters around on our creatures, making all our creatures bigger and bigger and bigger. Beamtown Beatstick and Diamond Pickaxe are going to be equipment that now the average viewer is going to go, why are we talking about these? They're common and uncommon equipments. They're not very good. Where's Argentum Armor? Where's X? Where's Y? Well, the reason that we like Beamtown and Diamond Pickaxe is because when we get into the final section about making more equipment, we have cards that can make non-equipment artifacts into equipment. So things like this that make us a treasure on damage, make us a treasure on attack, become really important, because then we can start making more of these artifacts that become equipment. Second off, treasures are just more mana, and that's always helpful. So Beatstick gives the creature menace, Diamond Pickaxe doesn't, but hey, both of them will give us some treasure if we can either deal damage or attack. Goldvein Pick, same thing, deal damage to something, get a treasure. Hexplate Wallbreaker is a extra combat equipment. It says whenever the creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase this turn, untap each attacking creature. There's an additional combat phase. So the Wallbreaker comes in with the body, which is perfectly okay. Otherwise, we attach it to something like a creature that doesn't, that doesn't need haste, so it's already been out, and try to get multiple combats for Eivor to deal that damage. Inquisitorial Rosette is an equipment I really like. Whenever the creature attacks, you make a 2/2 Astartes Warrior creature token with Vigilance, and then all attacking creatures get menace until end of turn. That's a great ability, especially when We're not playing in 2 colors where trample is prevalent, right? Now our opponents will think they'll be able to just chump block our creatures with equipment and be able to survive. Rose, that's going to make it a lot tougher, and our opponents are going to start making a lot tougher decisions on where they want to block. Sunforger, a classic when it comes to Boros equipment. For a red and a white and untaching Sunforger from the creature it's attached to, you can search your library for a red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less, mana value 4 or less, and cast it without paying its mana cost, then shuffle. Sunforge is great for a lot of things, but mainly for protection spells. For 2 mana and untaching, you can go get your protection spell you need and play it. Protect your board, give your board indestructible, phase your board out, whatever you need to do. Sunforge is great for it, and that's why it's very well loved. So our Feast and Famine got the reprint in Assassin's Creed, so I thought we should feature it here. Pro black and green and +2/+2. Whenever it deals damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. That's great because you can play more equipment, keep mana up to protect your things. Feast of Famine is a great high tier equipment. It has a price tag, but it's one of those ones where once you see it work once, you'll understand why it's so good and why you want it when you can get it. And then probably one of my favorite equipment that's been printed in the last couple of years is the Reaver Cleaver. So the creature gets +1/+1 trample, and whenever this creature deals damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. This, paired with the effects we're about to start talking about, will allow us to get more and more equipment count for Eivor. But the truth is, you put this on a flyer, you put this on something that's going to be big already, you pair this with another equipment that's already buffing up a creature really well that we're not talking about, and you're going to make a ton of treasures to either use for more equipment and more spells, or just use to buff up Eivor's abilities with the things we're going to start talking about. But let's talk about it. How are we going to make more equipment? Well, Dan Lewis from the Doctor Who deck says non-creature, non-equipment artifacts you control are equipment in addition to their other types. With a creature gets +1/+1 equip 1. So here you go. All our artifact tokens that aren't creatures become equipment, and that's more numbers for Eivor. Gemcutter Buccaneer, all treasures are equipment in addition to their other types. Love it. And whenever in other pirate ETBs, we get another treasure. We're not playing a ton of pirates in the deck, but hey, we're playing other ways to make treasures, meaning that the treasures can become equipment. Tago says whenever a land comes in, we create a colorless equipment artifact creature named Rock. And again, now we can have more equipment for Eivor when it starts attacking. Bloodforged Battle Axe is the main one that can start making copies of itself. So whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a copy of it. So here's something that could be making copies of itself. The other fun part is that the copy of it will be able to make copies of it as well, meaning that with a couple turns and good protection, this can get definitely out of hand. Masterwork of Ingenuity can come in as a copy of any equipment, and we certainly want to have it with Battle Axe if we can, to make more copies of it. And then Bludgeon Brawl is a really fun card. Each non-creature, non-equipment artifact is an equipment with equip X, where X is its mana value. This is great for treasures because then they get to just equip 0. Now, we don't really want to, because we're not looking to use them as equipment. We're really looking to use them just for the count, but this is nice for our mana rocks. We could always use our mana rocks and attach them to something for a little bit of a buff. But I hope you start to see why some of these cards could be really fun, like turning treasures into equipment if we can just get a bunch of treasures. And now it makes Eivor potentially even harder to deal with because it has vigilance and it has haste, meaning that even if you remove Eivor off the battlefield, I can bring it right back in and have it attack and get that ability right away. So I really like this. It's going to cause some care for your opponents on how to deal with the deck. And I think that's what makes a deck a ton of fun. But I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. No deck's perfect. This is my version 1.0 version of the deck. And I think in a lot of ways, it can be worked on. The first one is, of course, I picked my own set of equipment, but there's always going to be better equipment. Brotherhood Regalia can make a creature unblockable and give it Ward 2. That feels great for Eivor and protecting it. Mithril Coat can give a creature indestructible. It feels great. There's always going to be a list of other equipment that I missed that you should bring into the deck. So I'm sure there'll be opinions down in the comments on that. But the one card I wanted to talk about that, again, just couldn't find that creature slot for was Aurelia the War Leader, just giving you another combat each turn. I think I'd want more of these effects the more that I test this deck, so maybe that's something to keep in the back of your mind if you're looking at Eivor. I think the number of equipment's important, but also the extra combats are important, so I would definitely keep that in mind as you play it. But let's get into our playtest. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. Here we're keeping a 4-lander with a Dispatch, a Lava Spur Boots, and a Wear and Tear. So lots of removal, lots of ways to have some fun. We'll get that Rustfell Bridge in tapped turn 1. just because we want to get some both of our colors going. Again, Eivor's 5, so we've got a couple turns to work up to it. We could Lava Spur, we could Trailblazer's Boots. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think our turn 2 and 3 are going to look very similar. We'll just play the Boots here. Turn 3, we'll play another Plains, and we see Nazgul Battle Mace. This is a fun one. A creature has Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card on the battlefield under your control, unless that player pays 3 life. So great equipment. Here I think we just play the Lava Spur Boots, and then we'll keep Wear and Tear up, just in case anybody plays something that we really want to get rid of. Turn 4, I mean, we're just one turn away from Eivor. I think we just hold tight here. Again, keep up the Wear and Tear just in case. I know that seems kind of probably odd to some people, but it's one of those things where, hey, getting rid of a Soul Ring or something like that at the right time can be really important. And then turn 5, I would just slam Eivor. It's a 5/5 with haste and vigilance. Take the attack. Dome all of our opponents for 2. I would love a world where I can get Lava Spur Boots on it right now, but that's okay. I think it's still well worth trying to hit for 5 and doming everybody for 2, and seeing what we can do next turn to get it equipped. Okay, so Lava Spur is 1 to equip. Trailblazer's Boots 2 to equip. So the question I think now when you're playing Eivor is going to become, do we focus on attaching things to Eivor, or do we just try to slam down like Nazgul Battle Mace, get another attack in and a dome for 3? You know, I think there's a lot of questions there. I like that giving Lava Spur Boots on it, just to give it a little bit of protection. Maybe we'll play the Goldbane pick. We can still leave up Dispatch and Wear and Tear if we haven't played them yet. Eivor attacks, 3 damage total to everybody, and if we do that 1, 2, 1. I guess we could attach Goldbane pick as well, and leave up 1 for either the Tear side or the Dispatch side. But I kind of like the idea of just leaving them both up. The treasure would be great, don't get me wrong, but I still think we want to be safe. Going into turn 7, Battle Mace is 3 to equip, but I do like the idea of getting the Battle Mace down. Here I would probably get the Goldbane pick on, and then take another attack, doming everybody for 4. And if it gets through, we'll get the treasure off the pick. Otherwise, not. But that's okay. I still think it's worth hitting the attack here. Let's say, for the purposes of this, we don't get the treasure that somebody blocks. We'll do one more turn here. We'll get that Sacred Pizza tapped. Sky Hunter would be absolutely great this turn, but we have no way to give it haste, do we? Oh, we do. We have the Lava Spur Boots. So I would pay 4 for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pay to move the boots to it. And then we still leave 2 mana up for either Wear and Tear or Dispatch if need be. Move to combat to clear the attacks. We do the Sky Hunter first. Looking at the top 6. And we can put an equipment down. Well, we only hit 1 equipment, so that's our only choice. Put all these on the bottom. And we'll just put the beam stick on Eivor. And then now Eivor is going to dome everybody for 5. And I think you can kind of see where we're going now. Build the value. If Eivor ever leaves, we just get it back on the battlefield, and it's going to keep continuing to hit for that much damage. Let's go through another playtest. I don't know that it's terribly needed, but I always like to show just working with different hands. 3-lander here, inventory management, Cassandra to go get the spear, Flare for a little bit of protection, Masterwork and Ingenuity for a little bit of copy. Oh, we see Bureau Headmaster, the one that can reduce the cost and the equip, so I like that. Turn 2, I think we just play the Bureau, right? Make everything a little bit cheaper, and we're still working our way towards Eivor. Turn 3, we get the Forge down, and then I think we get Cassandra down. She has haste, and then when enter battlefield, search your library, graveyard, or hand. Oh, I just realized you put it on the battlefield. I just thought you put it to hand. That's on me. So we're going to go get it and put it on the battlefield. Spear of Leonidas is a 3-mana artifact. 2 to equip, but 1 because of Bureau. And when the equipped creature attacks, you either choose Double Strike to get Phobos or discard 2, draw 2. So a great ability. We can start using that going forward. Turn 4, we'll get the Stronghold down, so the Spear is just 1 to equip. I guess we probably could have attacked with Cassandra last turn, sorry there, if we had a good attack for it. Glimmer Lens is a great one. I wouldn't even mind copying it with Masterwork of Ingenuity, because you get to draw a card if you attack with basically 2 or more creatures, if this is one of them. Flare is going to be easy now since we have multiple creatures to do for it. Well, let's Glimmer Lens first. That's going to make that Rebel that it's attached to. And it actually is going to cost us 1 white because of Bureau. I'm just realizing that Masterwork should be free, right? So attach Leonidas to Cassandra. We've got 2 mana left. Part of me just wants to Masterwork the Glimmer Lens. I feel like that could be a bad choice, but I kind of like the idea of trying to get some draw around for us. And now we have 3 equipment for the purposes of Eivor next turn if we draw a card, if we draw a land. So we'll move to combat. I don't mind the idea of draw 2, discard 2, but I kind of want to just get Phobos unless I feel like the double strike's necessary. I take a little attack there. Turn 5, we unfortunately do not see the land, so maybe the draw off Leonidas might be worth it. We could get Aegis down and equip it this turn. I think we equip it here. So we're giving the creature +1/+1 and Mentor, meaning both of these rebels would be able to be targets of that Mentor. So I think I would do that. Move to combat. Let's give it double strike just for the purposes here. We would go ahead and Mentor onto, I guess, this rebel. We would attack with both the rebels. Let's say we Mentor under this rebel, and then it gets a shield counter as well. And then we would get 2 draws from both of the rebel tokens because we're attacking with at least 3 creatures. Hitting here for attack, we get the, silent clear, or the Sunbaked Canyon here, so we can get Eivor next turn. Turn 6, we're putting down Abstergo Entertainment. 5 for Eivor, 1 for the Rosette. Move to combat, swing out. Since Eivor can attack, we're dealing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage with Eivor. We just go ahead and counter and shield counter on this one, and then now we're just cooking with gas. Give this double strike if we want. We have the Boros protection for protection. We can always sack the Headmaster to Flare 4/2 for protection. I love this point. We're just going to keep growing the board and dealing damage. But let me know, what do you think of Eivor down in the comment section below? I like it. Again, I know we like to make jokes about Boros equipment decks, but I think this is a fun one. I like the angle for it. I think it's a ton of fun, and I think you're going to find some fun building it. But I'd love to hear what you think, and I will catch you guys next time.